Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Art 196, an introduction to designing web graphics for the spring semester 2022. This week, we've been working on creating a slideshow using the free web builder kit or a slideshow kit called WOWSlider. That's what I have up on the screen right now. If you type in WOWSlider.com, this is what you'll see. If you want to buy it, you can, but it is free for download, and that's the version that I've used for a while. It's worked beautifully ever since I discovered it several years ago. And so if you want to download it, this is the page. It says free download. Just click right there. And, you know, if you have a Mac or PC, it will work on either platform. So once you have downloaded it and you open it up, this is what it looks like, okay? You will have a blank screen. I've already created on Tuesday. I created this a slideshow and after class refined it a little bit. So what you will see is a blank screen. And it will say drag here or drag and drop images here. So before you even use the WOWSlider, you need to decide on the size of the slides that you're going to use. And I would recommend using Adobe Photoshop for that. Save all of your files as JPEGs or PNGs. WOWSlider also allows you to link to YouTube videos if you happen to have any. But again, you just drag it in here, or where it says add images, you can click right here and you can add a single image. You can add an image from a folder. You can add an entire folder. If I select add images right here, let's see what comes up here real quick. It's made by the same people that make MobiRise. And so there aren't any tutorials on this. So, but it's pretty intuitive how it works. And you can see that this is the folder that I have selected or created for our WOWSlider assets. And again, all of these images are about the same size. They all have, I mean, physically they all are all the same size. In terms of file size, they're a little bit different. Why? I don't know. They were compressed a little bit differently. And then when you open them up, it opens to a template that they use as a default. And you'll see all of your images to the left. So if you want to add images to this slideshow, you click on here or here to do that, and select the image and insert it. If you want to change the order of the slides, you simply click on the slide that you want to change and drag it up or down and to change the order of it. That's it. If you want to change the template, then these are the template styles over to the right. And you just simply click on it and it will give you an automatic immediate update, show you what it's going to look like. I don't, be quite honest, I don't remember which one I finally used, and I'm not going to change that right now. But there are some templates that are kind of over the top. My preference, as I mentioned on Tuesday, are the ones that are a bit understated. And like the ones that are understated, they also provide for you right here transitions from one slide to the next. And my preference is blur, but again, like the templates, I can select right here to let you know what they look like. What if I were to select, let's select louvers real quick. Now you can see transition from one to the next. So depending on your design, depending on who your audience is, will probably determine what it is that you're going to use, or just your personal taste. So again, if I switch to another one, It's just, you know, it slides from one to the next. Let's try another one. Just cube over. That's pretty cool. They're all really very nice. They're all, you know, pretty impressive. So I'm going to switch back to blur. Just a subtle blur from one to the next, because for my purpose, for my websites, I want to emphasize the fact that, or the images themselves. I don't want to, emphasize the design. I want the design of my website to be clean, but I don't want it to overpower the images itself. So that would be the next step. So first, select a template, or actually first import your images, select a template, decide what you're going to use for transitions. And again, you can play with it as much as you like. It's because it automatically updates, and then make sure that your file is saved. And then the next thing that you want to do, and actually this should have been done at the time that you created your images, is determined to the size that you want your slideshow to be. So at the bottom right-hand corner, if I click on More Settings, okay, it shows me the slider size appear in the upper right-hand corner. And that is not the default size. That's the size that I specified and that I created my slides. So if I switch to the default one, which I think was 640 by 360, and I click OK and I select Apply, it's going to crop some of my images. It's going to change that size to it, and I don't want that. So let me go back to More Settings, and I'm going to change it from 480 by 360 to, and you can create custom sizes as well. You're not limited to the sizes that they have here, but I'm going to go back to 640 by 480. That's kind of a standard size. And like what we had on the opening page, you'll notice that we have the templates here as well. You can determine if and this is what I don't recommend, is that they have an image fill color. So if your image isn't quite the size that your template is, it will fill the background with whatever color you want. And the same with the template color. They can be the same or they can be different. So I don't like that. You can also specify the font that you're going to use from here. The default one is Tahoma. For me right now, that's just fine. If you want to switch, you can see that there's lots of different fonts. Maybe let's go to Helvetica, and that will work too. A nice sans serif typeface is my choice. And like we saw before, here are the blur effects, but they give you additional controls here to determine the delay between slides. This happens to be a 2-second delay, and the effect duration, which is 2 seconds is the default. I increased mine to 3 seconds a little bit. Now, in addition to that, okay, that's the basic design, but what you also need to do is you need to go to the upper left-hand corner and go to the general settings. And starting from the upper left-hand corner, let's make sure that we name it however you want it. It doesn't have to be, it's something that you can remember. Then you have to determine with all these little check boxes, what do you want to do? Do you want the slideshow to play automatically? Sure, why not? Do you want it to pause on mouse over? Yes, I do want that. Do you want it to stop the slideshow after one loop? No, I don't want to do that. But in some instances, maybe that's what you want. Do you want to randomize the order? That's not a bad thing to use, but I'm going to leave mine off. That's fine. Do you want to autoplay videos, or do you want to leave that to the viewer to click on the videos to play? I also want to make sure that I have the pause and play buttons. I want a full screen button so that the end user has the option of clicking and viewing it full screen. I also want swipe support. That I feel is important, especially since we've been focusing this semester on designing websites that are responsive. So if you do happen to view this on a tablet or on your smartphone, that you have the ability to swipe left or right from one slideshow to another. You can also specify that if you want on-demand image loading, use relative paths to image in project if you wish, and you can use the default page color, and I've left it at white. Now, if you have an audio file, you can include that. I caution you, though, about using audio files unless they really are important to your website and conveying a particular feel that you want, because they do take up considerable amount of file size. Then you can specify down here for the slider layout, boxed, full screen, full width. Okay, I'm just leaving it boxed, small size. And then you can go here. We have all these settings to the right here. Do you want to show controls on mouse over? Yes, I do. You want to show the previous and next buttons? Yes, I do. Show descriptions? Yeah, that I think is important, that you have titles and descriptions. So that's what we have here. And then you have a number of options of how you want them displayed. You want none, move, slide, traces, parallax. I'll show you if I select parallax and I click apply. Watch how the slides slide across. Okay, that's what the parallax is. So I'm going to go back again to our general settings, and I'm going to decide, again, I want it to be just fade. I kind of like that. And that works nicely with the blur transition that I've used. Then for the bullets, you can decide whether you want them or not. Those are the little bullets that I have at the top that indicate to the viewer that there are additional slides, and when they hover over them, they can actually jump to them. They don't have to play the slideshow in order. And then you can decide, do you want those bullets at the top? Do you want them at the bottom? Or instead of that, do you want a film strip at the bottom? Okay. And then the film strip, and that film strip can be at the bottom. That's the default. It can be at the top, it can be the right, or it can be at the left. It's up to you. And then you can specify a thumbnail size. So now we have all of our settings. It's all intuitive. You can click on each one, click apply, and see what it looks like. It's pretty straightforward. Okay. Now, the last thing that we need to do is we need to determine the publish settings. So I'm going to click on publish. There's a variety of ways that you can publish your website, and I'm showing you today my preferred way of doing this. Okay, so publish to folder. That's what I prefer, and I want to make sure that the page name is recognizable. So I named it WOWSlider Art 196 Spring 22 HTML. Okay, and then what we have here is, this is the link to the root folder of my website. And I happen to be using the lesson 11 root folder for this. But when you're working with your own personal website, you will possibly copy the folder that we've used for one of our lessons and use it as your root folder, but then I would save this file to it. It's important that since we're using relative and or absolute paths, that they be, that WOWSlider is able to, find them. Okay. If you also, another way of doing this is publishing it to an FTP server. And this, if you have the address of it, that will work well. You can also insert it directly into the page. I prefer doing that myself, and that's what we're going to do in a minute once it's published. You could also, if you know anything about Joomla or WordPress, or share on Facebook or share on Google Drive, you can do those as well. But I, be perfectly honest, never use these. I used to insert it to the page, but I don't do that anymore. I think it's easier to do it the way I'm going to show you. The last thing, and it is extremely important, is that you need a slider ID, and that's determined by a numeral, 1, 2, 3, 4. So depending on how many slideshows you have on your website, not just on your page, but on your website each one has to have a unique ID. So you have to remember, if you're creating multiple slideshows, which ID is assigned to which slideshow. That's very, very important. Okay. So after we publish it, I want to make sure that it opens so I can see what it's going to look like. Well, I've already assigned the page name, and I've already assigned the location of it. So let's go ahead and publish this to see what it's going to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and click right here. It's publishing it now. And there we go. It opens it up in a browser. I don't want that. So I can see what it looks like before it's actually inserted onto my website. So I can play this forwards, play it backwards. I can pause. I can play again. When I hover out, notice that I see that, that the slideshow forward and backward buttons are gone, as well as the pause. But when I hover over, they appear. Here is in the upper right hand corner is the if I want it to play full screen, I can do that. And these are the little buttons that I was talking about here. Okay, so if I want to jump to any one particular slide, I just click on that and it goes there, and then it continues to play if you wish. Okay, so once you've checked and you made sure that everything is the way you want it, the images look good, there's no gaps or no problems with them, make sure that the titles and the descriptions are in place. And because I forgot, let me go ahead and show you where they go. I did mention this the other day, but the titles go down here and the descriptions go over here. And to do that, you don't do that on the screen. You select the image itself. Okay, it's highlighted in blue, and then you add the title, and then you add a description there. And then I click to the next one, and I do the same and the same. And then as you add them, they will eventually appear in the slideshow here. Okay, so that's pretty easy to do. And I would recommend that you do that rather than leave the viewer in the dark as to what these images mean, or if you want to put the size of the images or the medium that was used, that's useful too. That could be in your description. Okay, so here we go. This is what we need to use for to insert into our page. So when we're uploading or publishing the file, we're going to have two folders that they provide for us. One is a data and the other is an engine. So the data contains all of the images in our slideshow. The engine provides all of the code that is needed to actually for the slideshow to function. They also have two pieces here of code that need to go into the page. Now, this code needs to go into the head of the document. If you're using the slideshow or you're using a template that we created in our lessons, remember that you have to go back, or let me start over again. If you're creating pages from a template, as we did in our lessons, you have to do one of two things. You need to put this either in the head of the document or of the template, or you need to take the page and you need to detach it from the template to be able to put it in the head. And it goes at the very end. Okay, so you just copy paste. And then this bit of code down here, it goes inside the page itself. So you just simply select, place the cursor where you want it and copy this text, and then it goes in the code itself. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy it. Okay. Now I'm going to go to Dreamweaver. And I've already created a child page from the template. So what I've decided to do for today is that I'm going to switch from live view to design view, and I'm going to detach it from the template so that I can put it in the head of the document. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Tools, go to Templates, and I'm going to detach it from the template. And remember that you need to be in design view in order to do that. So I'll click there. It's detached from the template. Now I can go back to live view, and we can scroll up here. Let's go ahead and save the page. Make sure that everything is saved here. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Don't crash, don't crash, don't crash. There we go. Okay, so now I should be able to go, here's the head of the document. Okay, HTML, it's a doc type, HTML, here's the start opening tag of the head, and we scroll down to the closing tag of the head. Okay, here's the closing tag. So what I want to do now is I'm going to click here, and I'm going to hit the return key, and I'm going to paste. That's where that goes. Okay, that's what we had a minute ago. So that's there. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that is saved once again. And now we're ready to insert the slideshow into the page itself. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click here where it says add content here. Come on. There we go. So there's the paragraph. Here's the paragraph tag. I'm going to put it right after that, but before the end of the article. So I'm going to click and hit the return key. And now I have to go back to that page that was created here. And I'm going to click here. This is an HTML page, so it's in a browser. Just click on the code in the body here, and this goes into the body tag. So I'm going to hit Command C for copy. I'm going to come back over here to my Dreamweaver page, and I'm going to paste. Okay. And now let's go ahead over here to our files, and let's refresh and see what we have here. Hopefully it's all here. Come on. Well, that is, let me go ahead and save all. And hopefully, and then once it's saved, I'm going to go ahead and again refresh. There we go. And now it pops up. So let's just look at live view. And let's see how our slideshow works. And there it is. It's in the content, main content of the page that we had originally created from one of our lessons, and it's in the main content here. And it looks like it's working perfectly. Okay. So now what you need to do when you're ready to upload the file, remember I said that there are 2 folders that you need to include with the rest of this. And those are these folders here in the upper right-hand corner, Data 1 and Engine 1. So if you had multiple slideshows, you would have Data 2, Data 3, 4, 5, and as many slideshows as you have, as well as Engine folders. Okay. And now that's in addition to the rest of the pages. You would go ahead and you would upload those as well to your host server. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Let me see if I can't, let's see if I can't preview this in a browser and see if it works. I've been having trouble with that while I've been working with you guys. I'm going to try Google Chrome and see if that works. So far, so good. So here it is in the browser. And that's how it looks. And again, if we hover over it, I can pause, I can play forward, I can play backwards, I can go up to the buttons and I can select a specific slide that I want to see. Let's try, I haven't used this on my own, but let's try to go ahead and let's click there. Actually, you know what? That's the button to expand full page, but it's interfering, the buttons are interfering with that. So I would want to go back to the, if I want to keep that, that's important for it to expand full page. I would want to go back and put these little buttons at the bottom of the page, perhaps, to leave that alone, because that puts in there automatically. So, you know, that's the first time I've used it. It's a good test to see how it works and we're set to go. So this one I use is green travel. I don't know that I updated the template or not, but let's go ahead and test some of these. Let's go ahead here. Let's go about us, and let's go to green travel. And that wasn't updated yet. There's nothing there. So I didn't update the template to green travel. But if I do, that's where it would go. That's where it would take us. Okay. So if I put back in here, if I type in here, since I don't have a link to it, and you can always do that, we can go back and let's put, instead of index.html, I'm going to put travel.html. That's what I named it. Nope, and it doesn't like it. So I'd have to go back, make sure that everything works properly. Okay, there we go. Now it comes back up. Okay, so those are the slideshows. Can it be placed without a child page? Yeah, if you detach it from, well, what you would have to do, the question is, do you need a child page? If your website in Dreamweaver has been created using a template, then what you need to do is create a child page first. And that's what I did. And I decided to detach it from the template in order to put that one piece of code in the head of the document. If you don't detach it, then you have to go back to the template and you have to insert that piece of code in the template and make sure that it's saved and it updates all of your pages. Okay. So again, you don't have to use a template or template, however you want to pronounce it. For my personal website, because I have just a handful of pages, I don't use a template. I just save as, and you can do that as well. But you have to remember, if you make a change, especially to not to a specific page, but if you make a change to any of the links, any of the pages that require a different link, then what you have to do is you do have to make sure that whatever exists on each page, it's the same on each page, has to be updated separately. You would have to go back on each page. Let's say I wanted to add a link to this, okay, and I'm not using a template. I would have to, I can change it on one page, and then I have to go back on each page where I want to change, and I need to add it separately. If you're creating a website from the template, remember that you go back to the template, make the changes, and make sure that all the pages are updated from it. And then that's it. Okay, does that make sense, Paula? Okay. Well, that's all I have for you today. We were able to review, and we were able to not technically publish, but test. I mean, I could go in there and publish it and see, but I'd have to make a few changes first. I'd have to make sure that the template was updated, make sure that I uploaded all the different images here and uploaded the engine and data and make sure that it was published correctly. Okay. And I'm afraid that that's going to take too long and that I run the risk of making more mistakes. Right now, it's working just fine. I find that I've used the WOWSlider for quite some time now. As I mentioned, it's made by MobiRise. So when you're creating your website from MobiRise, if you noticed in the slideshow section, they have just that as an option for you to use. So you can do that from within MobiRise as well. But it works really very nice. It's nice. Okay. You get nice big slides. You don't have, they use what are they, jQuery, JavaScript, all the things that I don't want to code or have to deal with. And it makes it all pretty intuitive and again, works pretty seamlessly. I will let you know that there is a gotcha, that if you don't publish it to your root folder and you publish it elsewhere and you're using relative links, that when you upload it to your host, it's going to look for the page and the slides and the engine and everything to where it was published. And if it doesn't find it, you'll get empty space. You'll get an error message. So that's why I suggested that you publish it to your root folder, and notice that it automatically has the engine and the data folders in there, and you're set to go. You don't have to publish. Let me show you. Because remember, when you publish it, I also asked for it to publish WOWSlider HTML. And also I have this other one. It says WOWSlider here, how to, and so on and so forth. These are all the names that I used. You don't have to publish these. The HTML is a separate file. If I go ahead and I open WOWSlider HTML in Dreamweaver, come on, let's go back here and see how that looks in live view. Yeah, I didn't put it in that page. I didn't put it in the WOWSlider page, so you don't have to put that in there. The one that was, let's double click on this one and see where this one goes. Yeah, this is the page that it creates once you've made the slideshow. So if you want it to be independent and not, inserted within a page itself, this is what it would look like. But it has no navigation, it has no footer, it doesn't have anything else. And it also has at the very end, which you don't want, the how to publish this. This is just for your reference. That's it. So they don't have to go into all of these pages down here don't have to go into that. Have to go into the host's server. I published it and put it in travel HTML. So if I go back to travel, that's where that goes. That's where that is. Okay. So if I wanted to update this, I'd have to go back to the green template. Okay. And if I wanted all these other pages to go to travel, I would have to highlight here, and it's travel HTML. So that's been updated. Let's go ahead and file save all, make sure that it goes in there properly. Save all. And I have to go back to the travel page because I detached it and make sure that that goes to all of them. Now that should have been updated. Let's go to the travel page. Because I detached it, let's go ahead and look at this. Instead of live view, let's go to design view. Let's scroll down. I'm going to highlight green travel. And notice, because this was detached from the template, the link to that page is not there. So I need to now go ahead and click and drag on travel.html. There you go, and make sure that I say save all. So that's where, if you detach a page from a template, you have to update each page independently from the other. If you are using child pages from a template, then you only need to change the template. But again, there's always the risk of changes. Now look at how squirrely it looks, the slideshow, when it's in design view. But as soon as I switch back to live view, everything comes together and looks the way it's supposed to. Okay, now I should be able to publish it. So, okay. So, well, we have a few minutes. Let's give it a whirl. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to go to, let's go ahead here. I'm going to add this. Why not? I'm going to click here, and I'm going to go to, where are we going? infinityfree.net. Now, one thing to note, yeah, agree. Let's go to my client area. I can't just upload one page. I have to re-upload all the pages, because prior to this today, I did not have a link to the travel page. So all those pages that have been updated with the nav bar need to be replaced. So I can go ahead and go to manage this, and I can go ahead to the file manager, and I need to probably delete everything, and I need to update it again. So hold on, I don't want that. Let's go back. No, I don't want that. Where is it? Maybe this was deactivated. I don't know, because I don't use it every day. So let me go to files here and see if that takes me there. There we go. So here they all are. So here I am at Infinity Free. And again, all these pages need to be updated again. Okay, inside the htdocs folder. So I would just delete everything and upload it again. Okay, and hopefully everything will work. So that's it. That's as far as I'm going to go with that today. I'll test it later, and then next Tuesday, I'll show you if it works or not. And it should. I know that I will troubleshoot it if it doesn't and make it work. But that's probably one of the areas that some of you will have issues, that you will upload it and your slideshow will not work correctly just because there's a broken link. Okie doke. So that's all I have for today. Maybe on next week, one of the things that I'll show you how to do is if you want to create those little buttons at the top that they're called, here, let me go to my website here to show you where I've provided a link for all of you. So here's my website. And let's go to Kirk's classes or weekly syllabi or handouts. And under web tools, They're called favicons. They're these little icons that you see up here in the tabs. So if you want to know how to generate those and put those inside your website, you can do that. You can click right here for the Favicon Generator, and it's pretty straightforward. You need to create an icon for it first using probably a ping file, and then follow the instructions and upload it. Once it's generated, there you go. So I'll cover this probably next week. Okay, and then there might be a couple of other things that we, since we don't have much time left in the semester, we'll probably want to cover just for your information, or if you have the time to go ahead and use it, then that would be great. Okay, any questions before we leave today, Paula? No? Okay, then, if that's it, I'm going to stop sharing. And we'll call it a day. Okay, let me go ahead here. And